Right, well, Gary, I suppose the last time I saw you, you had one less player in your squad, and now you have that of Chris Taylor, who's come in this week. Explain to us the reasoning as to why you've brought him in.
Well, we were trying to get something done in the summer, and the situation didn't allow us at that particular time. But then, obviously, things change. You tried to go and get a contract at Bury, and obviously we saw what happened there. And then he was just, someone that I keep in contact with anyway. And I think following the bad news with Jamie Devitt, with Matty Palmer in that position, and the fact that he can play a variety of positions, it just seemed like a sensible thing to do at this particular moment in time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about where you best plan to use him in your starting 11 or squad.
Well, it's like anybody. I think if his opportunity arises in any of the positions that, like I say, across the midfield, left wing, right wing, centre mid, off the front, then he's more than capable of playing in any of them. And if we ever needed to play him at either fullback, he'd do a job there as well, because that's the type of character that he is.
You talk about character. Given the fact that you've worked with him previously, that must be a help for you, knowing what kind of character that's coming into the dressing room.
Yeah, definitely. I've been saying all along, we're only 13 games in, and it's all about building relationships. Well, with the knowledge of working with Chris a couple of times, I understand that relationship that we have, and we're further ahead with him than obviously some of the new ones that was just like I said, 13 games in, and that's important that you have people in there that you have had that relationship and confidence and trusting.
When can we expect to see him? Is he ready to be involved straight away?
I'll go and get him now if you want.
You can do.
Yeah, he's been in since Tuesday. It all got confirmed, and he's fit and ready to go for the weekend.
Looking ahead to the weekend and how the squad looks more generally, any knocks and niggles to report at all?
Well, we've got the long-term ones of Joe Riley, Jamie Devitt, who was at our game last week and was on one crutch and doing really well. Matty Palmer, who's been in this week as well, and he's in the brace, but he's going the right direction. They're the long-term ones, and we've still got Jordan Gibson missing, and Tyler French and Jackson Longridge still missing.
Calvin Mellor, will he be expected to return?
Yeah, he's expected to return for this weekend.
Looking ahead to that game, and specifically in the defensive area as well, with Ben Richards-Everton returning from his suspension, does that give you a bit of a selection headache, given the fact that obviously with James Vaughan not making the starting 11 last week and the mantra of not changing a winning team, does that give you a bit of a selection problem?
Well, it wasn't a case of not changing a winning team. Adam Henley came in obviously for Kelvin, so, and I'm not one that would necessarily not change a winning team if I felt it was the right thing to do. Ben's being available for us again is a boost for us for sure, and he certainly comes into contention. It's something that will probably give me another sleepless night this week, and then they've got to make the decision. It
must be hard for you, given the fact that Pordy and particularly Anthony in the result against Morecambe played so well together.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you. Since Ben got suspended, the pair of them have done terrific for us, and it's like you say, it's a tough decision that we have, but that's why you recruit all these players and the quality of them to make life difficult for myself, but also to increase the competition and the quality within the squad.
And you talk about that as well. It moves me on to my next point, which is the strength in depth that you have in the squad, because in the last 2 games you've been able to bring a player on who has seemingly scored the winner for you.
Yes, and that's been fantastic, and that's, like I say, the character that we want when we recruit and we talk to people and about their characters and what are they like out of the team, what are they like if they're sub, and like you've just rightly said, the last 2 games having somebody come off the bench and score the winner is fantastic, and that's what's important to us here at the club, and that's a credit to all the lads that they're all part of the squad, and they understand that, and they understand the importance of playing their part, because they all will play their part this season. And we've got a big week coming now in terms of Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. So it's going to get stretched for sure. And just named all those injuries that we have at the moment, and that leaves you stretched as well.
Remy Oti was the winner in the end. Obviously, that consolation goal late on. It was interesting to hear what he had to say after the game, that he's learning from the likes of Vaughan and Donaldson in training. How much is he developing at the moment?
He's been really unlucky, hasn't he? In the sense of, he's not really had many minutes, and that's not been down to him. That's been down to the form of like you say, James Vaughan and Clayton Donaldson. And what he does possess is that burst of pace and the ability to score goals. And he's just got to keep building on that from last weekend. And he's going to be, like I say, a major part for us this season. Does
he come into contention for up front?
Yeah, definitely. Of course he does. The pleasing thing about him is he's not just a centre forward. He'll do a shift out wide for you as well, and he can play in the number 10 position. So he does give us a good number of options, and he does come into the reckoning for Saturday.
Just on that position up top, obviously Clayton Donaldson started in the last game. James Vaughan was on the bench. How do you look to maybe shape up against Crawley, just given the fact that Donaldson's goal return hasn't been what many might have wanted from him at the start of the season? He missed that chance early in the first half. Is it something for you to consider?
I think any striker will tell you, the day to start being concerned is when you're not getting the opportunities. And like you rightly said, we could be, and Clates has said himself that the pair of them have been in positions where they could easily have a lot more goals than what they have. What's really pleasing is the fact that if you look over the last 5 games, I think it is, we've had 7 different scorers or something like that, and that's phenomenal from the squad. And we wanted that to continue. I think you see from the effort that they all put in now, they all defend from the front. It's not just the you defend, and we're us attackers will attack. And it's the same with the attacking and scoring goals. We've got everybody contributing, and that's important for us.
One thing that was mentioned highly after the result at Morecambe from the fans on the message that we were getting was that they felt that there'd been a real change in culture at the club, and that was stemmed from the performance, and maybe wasn't the most attractive of wins, but it was a win nonetheless. Do you feel that there's been a culture change under your guidance?
I'd come back to you and say, what do you mean a culture change?
In terms of, I would guess from what they were saying, was finding the winning mentality and grinding out the results. I know there was a big frustration from the players that they conceded that goal late on. So I'm talking about the psychology and the culture within the dressing room.
Yeah, definitely. It is something that obviously last season. We put it to bed at the end of the season. We then went about our work in terms of recruiting the right types of people, the right characters, set about trying to change, like you say, the mindset, the mentality of the group. Winning games helps that, but we know it's still going to take time. It's only 13 games in, and we have to build on the start that we've made. And so far, it's been pleasing. That, like you say, I could walk into the dressing room and you think we'd have lost because the fact that they wanted a clean sheet, and it's just hammering home those messages and trying to influence them and affect them, for the next game. And the desire that they've got is pleasing, and that comes from, like you say, winning games and being around each other and having good people.
And just building on that word culture as well, and I talk that from a fan's perspective as well. It was an amazing atmosphere given a small ground like Morecambe on Saturday, and I think it was over 1,700 fans that had travelled over. They'd sold out the away end. You must feel that on the touchline, that there's a real buzz about the fans, and there's a lot of, would you say, belief as well?
I certainly hope so. The most important thing has been the reconnection between the fans and the players, and I've said from day one pre-season that it was, it's important that we build that relationship. There will be times where we won't probably play well, but we need the supporters to stick with us. You know, it's human nature. If the supporters are backing us and willing us on, then they get a response from them. And at the same time, I've said all along, we need to put performances on that get them to backers as well. But we both play our part, and I think so far this season the supporters have been magnificent, both home and away. And last Saturday was the same, and you got the feeling that the supporters were like sucking the ball in the net, when we would turn around and kick that way towards them second half. And it's good what's happening at the moment. We ain't going to get carried away, and I don't think anybody can afford to in this league after only 13 games. But the reconnection between the fans and the players has been particularly pleasing, and you see the way that they all celebrate together, and that's been important.
And no doubt that support will be in attendance for the game against Crawley. Just on your opponents that you face next, what do you make of them as an opponent this weekend?
No, it's a tough one. We've watched them. They've got a lot of power. They've got a lot of pace, some size as well. They've recruited well. I said at the beginning of the season that where people finished last season was irrelevant to this season, and they're one of those clubs that we have to make sure that we go with the same mindset and pay them the same. That was really pleasing last week, was the way that the players respected Morecambe and how they went about the jobs. That was really pleasing for me, because they did a real professional job, and that's the same again tomorrow. These are a difficult side, and we're going to have to be at our best again.
Thank you.
You mentioned about players not necessarily saying, I'm a defender, I'm staying here. One thing that's been really noticeable, particularly in the last two games, is the way the midfielders are following up attacks, and two goals at least have come from that. Yeah, no,
I think there's a lot said about formations, isn't there, and the way that I think we've played the last couple of games has enabled our midfield to do that, and obviously you've got Hope that's got 2 in 2 now, and so we hope he continues to build on that and gain the confidence from that. But it's come about from his the work that he's done and the extra work that he's putting in on the training ground.
And the fact that you have players that I suppose in the 80s, 90s would be called utility players, but can fill in where they need it.
You're aging me there, 80s, 90s. Yeah, no, it's important. It's important because you have to try and make your squad work for you and give you that depth. And at one point last week, for example, we were looking at possibly who could play centre half if Powley hadn't recovered from his dead leg, and Ben was still injured, and Tyler was injured, and so you're looking at a midfielder slotting in there or a fullback slotting in at centre half, and we were pleased that we had still those options available to us, because throughout the course of the season you will get situations where it is stretched and you need people to fill in. I think you only have to look at the likes of Remy doing the job out wide, Shane McCartan when he's come on and doing the job out wide for us. Their attitude has been first class. And
on a similar point to that, have you already started looking at the January transfer window?
Gosh, you sound like one of the agents that rang me the other day. Listen, you have to do it as part of the job, and you never know who becomes available in January that wasn't available at the beginning.
Cheers.
You said about the goals from different goal scorers.
Yes.
7 in the last 5 games.
7 in 5. Is that right? 7 in 4.
And that must be important also for the group itself, because if you can say one player who scored 10 goals, then everyone's sort of looking to them, relying on him. But I mean, the fact that you can see everybody's having an active contribution there, aren't they?
Well, I don't know whether I should share that with you or not. Just thinking about it. Nah, it doesn't do any harm. We've got a leaderboard. So we've got a leaderboard for goals and we've got a leaderboard for assists, and it's something that we put up regularly, weekly.
Unfair for the fullback compared to the centre forward?
Not really, no.
Has it got quite competitive?
Kelvin Mellor scored 7 goals for me in League 2 as a fullback. So, but no, it's just a little bit of extra motivation, and like we're saying, get yourself on the leaderboard and contribute with assists and contribute with goals. And like you said, on Tuesday when we put it up there, it was up there, and you see all the lads that have scored, and it's pleasing. It's good.
I know at the start of the season you were talking about more players need to contribute. We need
Yeah,
goals
definitely.
all over. But I mean,
yeah.
Are you impressed with how that's been taken on board?
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, defenders. There's no point a defender going up for a corner if they're not going to try and score a goal. Otherwise, they might as well just stay there and save their energy. But fortunately for us, we've got lots of people wanting to score and being able to contribute as well.